Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Welcome to the match preview of our upcoming game tomorrow at 8 PM against Bate Borisov in the Europa League. You guys, you know how I like to do these things. I like to start off by giving my thoughts and opinions from the press conference. Then I give you guys my predicted lineup for the game tomorrow. Then I give you the tactical debriefing on our opponents. And at the end of this video, I do tell you guys how I think we can win this game. And finally, at the end, you guys, I do let you know how I think we can beat Bate Borisov from a tactical standpoint. Before I get into things, smash that like button. Help me get more than 500 likes for today's video. Starting with the press conference review. And for today's press conference, Marcos Alonso was actually beside Sarri. Of course, we know that Alonso did sign his new contract today, so obviously congrats to him. And Sarri was very complimentary in regards to Alonso, but I'm going to touch on that in a second. Here are some of the most important points from today's press conference. Well, this one isn't really a surprise, but it looks like Eden Hazard is going to be out for this game. I mean, all of us saw afterwards that he was holding his back, he was in a bit of pain. Hazard himself stated that he wasn't really able to accelerate or run during the game against United because he was in pain, so it's best that he does sit this game out and rests. Jorginho will also be rested for the game tomorrow. That does make a lot of sense, and it's quite obvious that Cesc Fabregas will be replacing him. Ampadu isn't fit enough to play yet, so he will be out. Sarri did confirm that Christensen will be playing. But when it comes to Ruben and Hudson-Odoi, he said that they're still 50-50s. Still, moving on to Sarri and Marcos Alonso, and Sarri, he continued his sweet talking of players that sit beside him during these press conferences, and he made the point that yes, Marcos Alonso can be the very best left back in the world. And I'm going to sound pretty cynical, I know, but that's kind of like saying, well, Morata will be the best striker in the world if he starts scoring goals. It's much easier said than done. And maybe I've got my cynical hat on, but I saw the performance that Alex Sandro put in against Man United, and you just see the levels between Alex Sandro, guys that are the very best in their position, and Marcos Alonso. It is good that Sarri does instill that confidence in his players, Try and be the very best player you can be. Keep your ambitions very high. And the thing that I like that Sarri does, and it's a bit similar to me, even though, I'm not trying to put myself on the same level, but he does provide context to his points, and that's the most important thing, If he's saying that he thinks that Marcos Alonso can be the best left back in the world, he tells him areas in his game in which he can improve upon. And he also explains and gives context to the reasons as to why Marcos Alonso might be struggling playing in a back four compared to playing in a back five. You know what, I will give Alonso a bit of credit. I mean, let's be serious. Sarri has been mentioning this point quite a lot, and I have been saying that Alonso's application defensively has been a bit better. That doesn't mean that he's been fantastic or amazing, but I can definitely see the application and the effort behind his actions. For you guys, moving on to the predicted lineup part for this video, and I'm expecting there to be a lot of changes, and to be honest, I really think that Sarri needs to have faith in the squad. He has to rotate heavily. Let's not make the same mistake we made earlier this season where we fielded a pretty strong team against Videoton and then we drew against West Ham. And, we've got Burnley coming up this week. They are pretty similar in terms of the style we will be facing compared to West Ham, in terms of being very uber defensive. So it's best to have the players feeling very fit and feeling very prepared for that game on Sunday. Well, we know that Hazard isn't going to be playing, so I have gone for a front three of Willian, Giroud and Pedro. I feel that Sarri is going to use Giroud in this game. I think that this will be the perfect game for Giroud to actually get a goal for us. But I think that there's going to be a lot of tactical benefits to using Giroud over Morata, which of course I'm going to be talking about later on in this video. Now, midfield is going to be very interesting. It's quite clear that Cesc will be playing over Jorginho, and I was wondering, does that mean that Kante is guaranteed to start tomorrow? But I'm actually thinking that Sarri might finally use Barkley and Ruben together in midfield. And when I think about it, I think that Barkley and Ruben could be very complementary playing together in midfield. And in defence, I feel that Sarri is going to go for that same back four he did use against Videoton. Emerson, Christensen, Cahill and Zappacosta, and Kepa will start in goal again. And to be honest, I see Caballero getting more games once we have qualified from our group in the Europa League. Still, as I keep stressing, let's hope that Sarri is really going to rotate the team and give opportunities to young players if they are available. I mean, I know that we need to respect our opponents. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but at the end of the day, this is Bate Borisov from Belarus. You really don't need to use guys like Kante in this game. Now, moving on to Bate Borisov, who exactly are our opponents? Well, during the Europa League campaign, Bate Borisov have been using a 4-1-4-1 and a 4-3-3, and they tend to use a 4-3-3 when they are playing away from home, and they do tend to use a 4-1-4-1 when they are playing at home. Currently, they do top the Belarusian Premier League, they do have 60 points, they are leading their closest rivals by 9 points. Their current form has been decent. Their only loss recently did come against PAOK in the Europa League. They did lose 4-1 against them, and I was able to find a few highlights on that game, and I'm going to link the game in the description below in case you guys want to get an understanding for yourselves. But PAOK were constantly able to find joy down the flanks, especially down that left hand side where they created all their goals down the left hand sides. And they were very susceptible to overloads down the flanks, and of course you guys, you know that we love to play down that left hand side, so that should give you guys even more reason to be confident. Bate Borisov aren't a free scoring team, they like to play a very pragmatic style, they do really tend to rely on defence more than their offensive capabilities, and it's actually quite funny, you know, a few years ago during like the 2012-13 period, Bate Borisov had one of the best defensive records in Europe, and they got a very famous result against Barcelona. Being pragmatic and defensively sound has always been part of Bate Borisov's DNA, but in a way, I do kind of feel for teams like this because it's really hard for them to improve and move to another level, especially in the league they're in. I mean, for God's sake, Bate Borisov have won the last 12 league titles in a row, going from 2006 to now. Imagine that, winning 12 league titles in a row. But anyway, moving back to the game, and with Bate Borisov, they are going to be very defensive. I mean, against PAOK, they only had about 33% of possession, and they used a 4-1-4-1, which did turn into a 4-5-1. And this actually links in nicely to the final part of this video. That's us, and how exactly can we beat Bate Borisov? Now, if you guys remember the final point I was making when I was talking about Bate Borisov, I was saying that they do use that 4-5-4-1 off the ball, and when you use a system like this, it puts a lot of pressure and emphasis on the wide midfield players, and this was the reason as to why they lost that game against PAOK, because, you know, the wide midfield players really have to come and mark the fullback. They weren't doing that enough, and you know, think about it like this, you know, if you're defending off the ball, you're working really hard, it's really hard to sustain that level of play during the course of 90 minutes. You do become more tired, and PAOK were able to bomb their fullbacks up as much as possible. They were constantly able to create 2v1s against Bate Borisov, and by doing that, that really just dragged out and ruined the defensive structure of Bate Borisov. And this really just links in nicely with us because, you know, we like to play down the left hand side a lot more. We do like to push our fullbacks up very high, and you can see our fullbacks causing Bate a lot of problems down those wide areas. Because the beautiful thing of getting these guys in the game is that it does ruin Bate's defensive structure, meaning that it does create those spaces between the lines where guys like Barkley and Ruben can do their thing. And that potential midfield of Ross and Ruben is very exciting because, of course, Ross providing that goal threat and Ruben providing that incision in the final third. I really think these guys can complement each other's game, but I think the key difference could actually be in Olivier Giroud if he does start, and that's because with Olivier Giroud playing as a target man, that means that Bate Borisov are going to have to occupy some of their players to man mark him, and by doing that, that only creates more space between the lines and further out wide. Now, the only disappointing thing about our Europa League campaign so far is that we haven't been scoring enough goals, but I really feel like tomorrow is going to be the first time where we do score more than one goal against Europa League opposition, and I'm going to be going for a predicted scoreline of 3-0. I think that Giroud, Pedro and Barkley will get the 3 goals tomorrow. You know, Bate Borisov will make it a bit hard. Of course, if they even get a point against us, that's a fantastic result for them. That means that they have a massive chance of qualifying, but I just don't see it happening. But anyway, you guys, one more thing before I do go, you guys. Thanks to you and your support, I was able to get another OneFootball deal. You guys, if you can help me out again, if you can click on the link in the description below to download the app, it does make a big difference. Every time someone downloads the app, it does get tracked, and obviously the more downloads I get, it really helps me get closer to my goals. So I would appreciate it if you did take a few seconds of your time to download the app in the description below. I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.